Spain are world champions. They beat Argentina 1-0 after extra time at MetLife Stadium on Sunday, July 19th. And as the confetti fell and Rodri lifted the trophy, something happened across social media that nobody in a boardroom at FIFA, at La Liga, or at any of Europe's biggest clubs had planned for. Every major club rushed to post. PSG celebrated Fabian Ruiz. Manchester City celebrated Rodri. Arsenal celebrated Zubamendi and Marino. Tottenham celebrated Porro. Athletic clubs celebrated Nico Williams and Unai Simon. And then people started looking at the full squad list. And they started counting. And the number they landed on was 9. 9 players in Spain's World Cup winning squad who passed through one single academy, La Masia, the farm on the outskirts of Barcelona that has been producing world-class footballers since 1979. 9 in 2026. 9 in 2010, when Spain won their first World Cup. And crucially, both of the two biggest names in this final, on opposite sides, Lamine Yamal for Spain and Lionel Messi for Argentina, both of them La Masia graduates. The academy did not just produce the world champions. It produced the two greatest players on the pitch in the most watched football match in 4 years. Europe is now asking one question. Has Barcelona built the greatest football academy in the history of the sport? La Masia, which translates literally from Catalan as the farmhouse, is the residential youth academy of FC Barcelona, established in 1979 in a building on the grounds of the Camp Nou that was originally constructed in the 18th century as a farmhouse. For the first decade of its existence, it was simply a dormitory, a place for young players from outside Barcelona to live while they trained with the club's youth teams. What it became over the following 4 decades is something football had never seen before. The philosophy that grew inside La Masia was not simply about football technique. It was about a specific way of understanding and playing the game. Ball retention, positional intelligence, technical precision under pressure, the ability to read space before the ball arrives. These qualities were drilled into every player at every age group, creating a production line of technically complete footballers who understood the game at a deeper level than almost any other academy system in the world. The results speak for themselves in a way that no brochure could. In 2010, when Spain won their first World Cup, 9 La Masia graduates were in the squad. Victor Valdés, Puyol, Pique, Sergio Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, Cesc Fabregas, Pedro, and Pepe Reina. 16 years later, in 2026, 9 La Masia graduates are in the squad again, on a team that plays completely differently, with a completely different generation of players, under a completely different manager. Same academy, same number, different era. World champions twice. Let's go through every one of the 9 La Masia graduates in Spain's 2026 World Cup winning squad, because naming them individually makes the scale of what this academy has produced impossible to dismiss as coincidence or luck. Lamine Yamal joined La Masia as a child and has been described by Barcelona as a generational talent since he was a teenager. He entered this tournament as one of the main attacking threats after a stellar club season and delivered exactly that, becoming one of the defining players of the entire 2026 World Cup at just 18 years old. Pedri Gonzalez joined La Masia at 16 from Las Palmas and has become one of the most complete midfielders of his generation under the academy's influence. Gavi, who joined La Masia at 11, is widely considered one of the best midfielders in the world and was central to Spain's control of the tempo throughout the tournament. Pau Cubarsí joined La Masia at 8 years old. 8. And at 17 has already established himself as one of the best young central defenders in European football, starting the World Cup Final at MetLife Stadium. Dani Olmo joined La Masia at 10, left at 16 for Dinamo Zagreb, blossomed in the Bundesliga at RB Leipzig, returned to Barcelona in 2024, and operated as Spain's number 10 throughout this tournament, with what Sports Illustrated described as tremendous class and quality, masterfully maneuvering between the lines. Eric Garcia captained Barcelona's 2001 generation for the majority of his time in the academy and has provided versatility and composure throughout this World Cup. Marc Cucurella joined La Masia and went on to become one of Europe's most consistent left-backs. Alejandro Grimaldo followed the La Masia path and delivered some of the tournament's most dynamic attacking play from the left side. Victor Munoz completed the 9 players One academy. World champions. Before this tournament, the idea that a Spain World Cup squad would contain 0 Real Madrid players was considered essentially impossible. The history of the Spanish national team is inseparable from the history of Real Madrid. The club has contributed more Spain internationals across more generations than any other institution in Spanish football. The 2010 World Cup winning squad included Iker Casillas, Sergio Ramos, and Xabi Alonso among the Madrid contingent. The 2008 and 2012 European Championship squads were built around the Real Madrid and Barcelona axis simultaneously. For the first time ever in a complete overhaul of Spanish football, there have been no Real Madrid players called up for the FIFA World Cup. Not one. The national team is completely relying on Barcelona and the La Masia Academy for their core. 8 Barcelona players were in the official squad, with La Masia graduates playing elsewhere accounting for the remaining academy products. The absence of Real Madrid from a World Cup winning Spain squad is not just a statistical anomaly. It is a statement about the current state of Spanish football and about which club's philosophy is currently producing the players that Luis de la Fuente wants most. La Masia's emphasis on technical precision and tactical intelligence is exactly what de la Fuente's Spain requires, and Real Madrid's current model, built more around physical power, individual brilliance, and late-career acquisitions from outside Spain, is simply not producing the specific type of Spanish player this national team needs right now. Of all 9 La Masia graduates in Spain's squad, no story captures what the academy represents more completely than Lamine Yamal, because Yamal's entire football education happened inside La Masia, and the player who walked onto the pitch for the World Cup final against Argentina is a direct, unmodified product of everything that academy believes about how football should be played. Lamine Yamal is 18 years old. He was born on July 13, 2007, the same year Lionel Messi won his first Ballon d'Or. The symbolism of Yamal and Messi being the 2 biggest names on opposite sides of a World Cup final, the current holder of the title of world's best player and the player most widely considered his heir, both products of the same academy building on the same campus, is the kind of narrative that football generates once in a generation. Yamal entered this tournament as one of Spain's main attacking threats after a solid club campaign and delivered something far beyond that expectation. His directness, his composure in high-pressure moments, his ability to take on defenders and create in the final third across 7 World Cup matches confirmed everything La Masia has been saying about him since he was a child. At 18, he has already won a European Championship and a World Cup, both with players who came through the same academy building. The most extraordinary detail of the 2026 World Cup final is one that Barcelona's own website captured perfectly before the match was played. Whether the winner's medal went to Spain's Lamine Yamal or to Argentina's Lionel Messi, it would represent another success for Barcelona's youth academy. Messi joined La Masia from Rosario, Argentina at 13 years old, arriving in Barcelona with a hormone deficiency that threatened his development and leaving La Masia 17 years later as the greatest footballer the academy and arguably the world has ever produced. He did not win on Sunday, but the fact that at 38 years old, in what is almost certainly his final competitive match for Argentina, the greatest product of La Masia's history walked onto the same pitch as La Masia's newest generational talent, and that the outcome of the most watched match in 4 years rested on what those 2 La Masia products did across 120 minutes, is a story that no marketing department at Barcelona could have designed. It happened organically. It happened because an academy in a farmhouse on the outskirts of Barcelona has been developing football's finest minds for 47 years without interruption. And on Sunday night at MetLife Stadium, both sides of the scoreboard bore its fingerprints. The parallel between 2010 and 2026 is the detail that elevates this from a great story into a historically unique achievement, because producing 9 World Cup winners from a single academy is remarkable once. Producing 9 World Cup winners from the same academy 16 years apart, across 2 completely different generations of players, 2 completely different Spain squads, and 2 completely different playing philosophies is something football has never seen before at this scale. The 2010 La Masia generation was built around the tiki-taka era, Xavi's passing, Iniesta's movement, Busquets' positional intelligence, Cesc's creativity. It was the most technically complete midfield unit the sport had ever seen, and it dominated international football from 2008 to 2012 with a style of play so distinctive it changed how football academies around the world approached coaching. The 2026 La Masia generation is completely different in style. Tiki-taka is dead, as one analyst noted, and in its place is a high-intensity style characterized, yes, by La Masia graduates, but spanning the continent, with some of the best Spanish players of 2026 plying their trade in the Premier League, coming from the Basque Country, and finding left-field ways to the very top. Same academy, different philosophy, same outcome. The ability to evolve and produce world-class talent across style changes, generation changes, and coaching philosophy changes is the mark of an institution rather than a moment, and that is exactly what La Masia has proven itself to be. The question Europe's biggest clubs are now genuinely asking, not rhetorically but in boardrooms and in transfer strategy meetings, is whether any other academy in the world is currently producing talent at the rate and quality that La Masia is delivering in 2026. The obvious candidates are Manchester City's academy, which produced Phil Foden and has consistently developed top-level English talent. Ajax's De Toekomst, which translates as the future, which produced Cruyff, Van Basten, Bergkamp, De Ligt, De Jong, and a generation of Dutch internationals. Atletico Madrid's academy, which has started producing top-level Spanish talent at a growing rate. And Borussia Dortmund's academy, which produced a generation of German internationals and has been one of Europe's most consistent development facilities for 2 decades. None of them have produced 9 players in 2 separate World Cup winning squads 16 years apart. None of them have produced the player most widely considered the greatest of all time and the player most widely considered his successor simultaneously. The Barcelona Youth Academy continues to produce world-class international talent more than any other club can possibly imagine. 9 La Masia graduates in 1 World Cup final squad, 2 of them the central figures of the entire tournament on opposing teams, in a match watched by billions, at a stadium in New Jersey named after a New York sports team. La Masia's reach in 2026 is genuinely global, and the answer to whether anyone can catch them is the same answer every Barcelona rival has been giving for 47 years. Not yet. Spain are world champions. 9 La Masia graduates have World Cup winners' medals. Lamine Yamal at 18 has a European Championship and a World Cup. Lionel Messi, La Masia's greatest product, on the other side, walked off the MetLife Stadium pitch for the last time in an Argentina shirt at 38 years old, having given everything his academy equipped him to give. And Europe's biggest clubs are looking at that list of 9 names and asking what exactly Barcelona are doing that they are not. Drop a comment below telling us your answer. Is La Masia the greatest football academy in history, or is there an academy you think deserves that title more? And tell us which of the 9 La Masia graduates in Spain's squad impressed you most across this World Cup. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications because the World Cup is over, but the stories it produced are not. We are covering every major talking point, every transfer consequence, and every legacy question from the 2026 tournament through the week. Share this video with every football fan in your life who watched Sunday's final and did not realize that both of the 2 greatest players on that pitch learned to play football in the same building.